Hey everyone, Korl here, and today we're going to talk about part 3 of my GAC 101 series, which focuses on counters. Now, if you followed along to this point, then you have an understanding on how to scout your opponent, and you know what key tunes you need to work on to make better and more optimal teams. So the next focus for us is how or where do we use these teams? Counters are essential to your success, and not only for GAC, but for TW as well, with the exception being game mode specific omnis. As a matter of fact, interchanging basic-like matchups between TW, GAC, and Arena, if you're in an Arena shard where they'll set a team for you to practice on, can make you a better, more efficient player faster when applying these same counters throughout these game modes. With that, let's talk about the two different types of counters. Counters are, by the simplest definition, what's the best team to use against a certain team. With that, there are two terms that come to mind: hard counters and soft counters. You've probably heard about these terms before, and they're pretty simple to understand. Hard counter refers to a counter with a high success rate. To me, I'd say about 70% or higher. A soft counter would be a team that usually sits around 50 to 60% success rate, but requires more RNG and strategy on how to use the team effectively. That's where I would put my unconventional counters and other counters that may or may not work based on the mods that you have. One caveat before we go any further: I want to make sure you guys understand that no counter is 100% guaranteed to get you the win. There's other factors that go into every battle, such as the exact team composition used, the mods on those tunes, the turn orders, the RNG, random number generator, which is basically the chance of a certain scenario playing out, and user error, to name a few. I always recommend asking for help when you're unsure of a counter to use, or looking to counter up on swgoh.gg, or just doing a YouTube search and looking for a counter that you're trying to emulate to make sure you understand what's going on and what you need to do in order to be successful in that battle.
All right, the first thing we're going to look at today is swgoh.gg. And you can reach it by going to your URL, typing in swgoh.gg, and it'll bring you to this homepage. Here we have two tabs that we're going to focus on. Right here, GAC counters, and then following that, GAC who to attack. So start off with GAC counters. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And here we're going to go to 5v5 counters. We'll look at 3v3 counters when that goes live again, but for the foreseeable future, they're just focusing on 5v5. So we'll click here. And we get a list of the most popular teams seen on defense. And then we can go ahead and click next to them for counters. So, for example, let's click on Mon Mothma. So, looking at Mon Mothma, here she is on defense. Here are the different teams that went by her, how many times this counter has been seen, the win rate of it, and the average banners that we make from using that counter. So, if you want to use Rex clones, that seems to be successful against Mon Mothma. You want to use Grievous? Sure, that makes sense. Gas, I think that's a little expensive, but yeah, sure. Imps, again, I think it's a little expensive, but okay, that's fine. But a good question that comes up is, what if this isn't the right Mon Mothma team, right? What if there's, other teams? Like you can see up here, this is the generic Mon Mothma team you'll find with Kyle in here. And here's a different variant where you have the Luke's buddies, Wedge and Biggs, or you have Lando in there, just because these were teams that were used to like JML, and it, is a shortcut to not having a full team currently. So what if your guy has someone specific? One thing you could do is you can click on tunes. So let's say we want Kyle has to be in there because our dude has Kyle. You can see up here, it's going to add something. Kyle Katarn. So we can go on here, we can say, nope, our guy has Kara. Our guy does have Pow. And, our guy has, I think it's Hoth Rebel Scout. Yeah, so there we go. So these are our search criteria here. And now we can see a little bit more effectively. This team worked 58 times, 100% success rate, about 60 banners. Gas still works here. You can see Waddit, JML. Issue is I don't like using GL counters for non-GL teams when there's other teams that can get it done. So I'll scroll down further. Okay, Sith Trio still is a high success rate. Darth Revan, Padme with Jawas, so on and so forth. But let's say you're limited on the tunes you have. So you can go over here, and then you can say, well, I'm going to use CLS. So let's click CLS, and it's going to add him to the list of criteria to search for too. So now it's showing us we've seen 1,729 battles, and almost 100% win rate with CLS. Average banners is almost perfect, almost 65. So we can also go further. Up here, you're going to see this little scissor thing, a little scissor icon that says toggle 99th percentile cutoff. Turn that off. And now you can see more specific counters. So if you're trying to get away with undersizing, here's one without 3PO, or you want 3PO somewhere else. Win rate goes down without 3PO there. Full team, but here's R2 instead of 3PO, 85%. Here's Rebels with Stormtrooper Han, or sorry, Captain Han, 100%, 62 banners, 5 times seen. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can manipulate this to find the perfect teams that you're trying to use in order to get the counter off right, in order to get the win and maximize your banners. Alright, so back at the main page, we're going to go to the second tab I was talking about earlier, which is who to attack. So this is more for players that have newer teams, not sure how to use them, or players that want to use teams more effectively, efficiently, what have you. Just want peace of mind, see what to do with them, whether they should be used on offense or defense. Obviously that's all going to come down to who your opponent is, who they normally set, who they normally take, etc., etc. But still, let's go over this anyway because it's an extremely useful tool that I didn't know existed up until a few months ago, and I've been using it to do better with my teams, and it has absolutely helped me do a better job in winning my matchups. So for this example, here are the teams that you can use: Grievous, Mon Mothma, Rey, Bam. These are just teams that you'll most likely see on offense in the order of appearances. For sake of all this, let's just look at GG. So clicking on him, you can see it looks similar to the regular counter screen, except the team you're focused on that you're using is on the left, and the opponent you're trying to counter is on the right. The middle is about the same amount of average banners you get, the win rate, how many times it's been seen. So going through this list, if I'm trying to figure out where I want to put GG, I can take Geos, I can take Maul-led Darth Revan team, I can take Night Sisters, JTR Resistance, Mon Mothma, CLS. It just depends on what you want to do. So all these look like high win rates, so I'd call them hard counters. And let's go with Maul-led Darth Revan team, for example. So we're going to click on this, just like the other link where you can filter your search criteria. We're going to filter and choose Darth Revan. So these are the 2 teams that come up. And let's say, hey, this is the Maul-led team I want because they use Talon for that speed boost. So here we go. Don't need to click on it anymore. This is the exact team they use. And we see that it's been used 81 times with almost 100% win rate, and it gets an average of 58 banners. Okay, that's an awesome counter. That's especially for getting rid of Darth Revan and Malik. So let's go ahead and go up here to the scissor icon again, the toggle 99th percentile cutoff. We're going to go ahead and turn that off and see what that does. And it does not look as pretty as all green. So what we're seeing here is high success rate against Maul-led DR, high success rate, Maul-led DR. When Darth Revan is the lead, this team crumbles. 40%, 22%, 0%. I see is whatever. But as you see, it sort of tells you, here's the variation you use, here's the variation they used. What is the most likely outcome going to be? So for this, I would tell you, absolutely, Grievous against a Maul-led Darth Revan team is the way to go. 100%. It's going to be easy win. It's going to be a great amount of banners for a rather harder team to beat. But if Darth Revan is the lead of that team, I should not take General Grievous with me because I'm going to lose. And that's something that comes into strategy too, because if you don't know this and you just take it at face value, you might think, well, if I could beat Maul-led Darth Revan team, then I could beat Darth Revan lead team. What's the difference? And you're seeing here, well, aside from the kit and the way the leads work, it's not the best idea with General Grievous. So instead of you already going off the bat using GG against a Darth Revan-led team and losing, you're like, I don't get it. This video didn't make sense. Click on the percentile, turn it off. Look at specific lineups that you're trying to face. Not just that they have all the tunes you're looking for, but are they in the right order? Is it the same lead? Not that this order matters, but is it the same lead for the most part? And same tunes you're going to focus on. And then make your strategic counter choice there. Alright, so at this point, we went ahead and gone to savgoh.gg. We've looked at the 2 links between what counters are most successful and how to use your teams more effectively. So at this point, the question becomes, okay, now I know how to access all this data. How do I implement this against my next GAC opponent? So one of the ways you could do that is using the Excel document that I linked to the first video in this GAC series, which was based on how to scout your opponent. In the description, there's a link to get this document off of my Google Drive. But basically here, you're listing out the teams you have, and then you're going to go back on there to see how to better use your teams. and see what a hard counter is, what they can be used against, and be successful against it. So, looking here, see JML, I had them good against GLs or anybody, again, with the exclusions of certain GLs. Maul's good against sets or geos. Not many teams. That's why he's a different background color than the other ones. Multiple teams get green. So one thing I want to point out. Let's take Aura lead with the Zamami, for example. According to that website, we can take Bam, Mon Mothma, Night Sisters, Dash with the Ami, Separatist, Qui-Gon Ami, Crew, Bad Batch Bounty Hunters. You look at someone like Darth Revan, Newt, Maul Led, Sith Empire, Geo, Mon Mothma, Night Sister, Bad Batch Bounty Hunters, Shock 501st, so on and so forth. These are what I call or consider expensive counters. These are not someone like, let's say, Darth Revan. I don't want to go off the bat and attack Newt when I know that maybe Maul will get the job done when he could do Seps. And now I could save Darth Revan for a Maul led Sith Empire that might be on the back wall. For a Mon Mothma Kyle on the back wall that I can't see. For Bounty Hunters with Zamami on the back wall. Shock 501st somewhere. You don't want to use these immediately. You want to save these types of teams for last. Something else that's worth noting here is if you don't have teams that you're seeing here that have 6, 7, 8 counters, these should become your priority farms. If you need something to farm and you're not sure where to go next with your roster, look for teams that are taking out 6, 7, 8 different types of teams in GAC because those are going to be the most bang for your buck because they're the most flexible and versatile. CLS on defense is a difficult team to beat. CLS on offense can beat a lot of teams. You have that flexibility on where do I want to put this team. So once you go ahead and you fill out the teams you have, you fill out who they're good against, then you can start looking at the rest of the data that you have, like Omega Bot saying, here's who my opponent's going to set usually. And then you mix and match. Say, okay, well, if he's going to set a Mon Mothma on the back wall, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring Aura just for that, just in case. And, if he's going to set Maul-led Sith Empire somewhere, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring, Grievous with me for this one. Because I know it's such a high success rate instead of setting him on defense because he's a good banner stealer in defense. So strategy obviously plays a big part in this. One last thing I'll touch on, you see here in red, Gas can take Ray if the conditions are right, and GG can take JML if the conditions are right. This is all going to be part of unconventional counters I'm going to cover in the next video. But there are some counters out there that will work that aren't used often. Again, those are more soft counters per se, but we'll cover that next video. But for the most part, this is how you implement all the information you learned today from this video.
In conclusion, knowing how to use counters is a staple point of being a good PvP player and being successful in game modes like GAC and even TW. Doing your homework and taking notes can truly make or break your GAC round. Obviously, there's a lot of other aspects that go into it, key being the strategy and how to split up your teams efficiently. But being able to better utilize your teams and knowing what counters are available for you to use will ensure you're doing the best that you possibly can. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like and subscribe to my channel so you'll never miss a video. That's it for today's video on counters. I'll see you guys next week.